GCB Bank acquired UT and Capital Banks in what appears to be the biggest takeover in the history of the banking industry here in our country. The takeover also had the Bank of Ghana revoke the licenses of the two distressed banks, UT Bank Limited and Capital Bank Limited. The development has generated obviously a lot of debates among stakeholders. And this morning on AM Business, we bring you a wrap of this trending story.
For many, the surprise takeover of the two banks, UT Bank and Capital Bank by GCB, shows that all may not be well with the banking industry. The development also indicates a possibility of other banks going down too. But for the two banks, a number of peculiar factors may have led to the current situation.
When you look at banks, it's usually the management of the assets and liabilities, nothing more to that. Now, when there's a gap, then there should be profits to cover up the gap. When it is that your profit is going down and you have more liabilities than your assets, then there's a gap, and the gap has to be funded. So usually we would fund your gap with either shareholders' equity or getting another bank to come in and bail you out. And this has been on the drawing board for quite some time. Because I know at a point in time they were talking to Home Finance, HFC Bank. They were talking to a couple of other banks. So most of these two banks were equally talking to other people to come in and bail them out or to come in and shore them up. But that was not forthcoming.
UT Bank and Capital Bank were deeply insolvent, meaning their liabilities exceeded their assets, putting them in a position which does not allow them to meet their obligations. Despite repeated agreements between the regulator and the two defunct banks to implement an action plan in a bid to address these significant shortfalls, their owners were unable to increase their capital and avoid insolvency. Consequently, to protect customers, the Bank of Ghana had to step in.
We told you that the banks have submitted plans, we are monitoring and getting there. If you submit a plan and the plan is credible, what stops me from telling you that the plan is credible and then go ahead? But where you can't fulfill the terms and conditions of the plan, or you bring the plan and I find the plan not to be credible, I can't sit down and wait for the bank to deteriorate further on the assumption that go and tell the public that you have submitted a plan, when I know that the plan is not credible. When I sit down and I realize that the plans you are bringing is not credible and the bank is deteriorating, I have to stop it.
When there is a purchase and assumption transaction, the immediate question that runs through the minds of customers and other stakeholders is, what becomes of their funds? The case of UT and Capital Bank was no different. As the news broke under the screaming headlines, scores of customers gathered at the various branches seeking some answers, particularly as to why they could not bank as usual.
So Monday somewhere I came around 8:30 and they told me to go back. I should return back 1 o'clock. So as of now, we are not seeing anything. I mean, the only problem is that if there is anything, why don't they tell us ATM alert so that we should know that this is what's going on, so that we should have prepared for what is. So what they are doing there, actually, it is affecting us a lot.
I've been here this morning and the security man said I should come around 1 o'clock. But it's almost 2 o'clock, but they've no opinion.
Okay. So have they told you what is actually happening?
They have it.
My money there inside. I did do, what do you call it, insurance and account. Yeah. So now, me there, I'm very, very afraid. So right now, if they open her, I will convert all my money from inside.
I'm surrounded by some customers who say they've been here for quite some time, but officials have refused to tell them what is going on. It seems there is quite some kind of air of mystery hanging, and the customers really want to know what is going on here. But we'll be waiting to see what will come out. However, officials of the dominant bank cleared the air in a tete-a-tete with newsmen assuring clients of the safety of their funds.
We want to assure them that GCB Bank is prepared to give them the ultimate service, quality that they deserve. Their deposits are protected. We have a big balance sheet. They are part of a bigger and stronger bank, and we want to give them all the assurances that we want to earn their business and retain their business. So they should stay with us. we will make sure that we meet the expectation or exceed the expectation. So through this medium, I would like to assure all the customers of the erstwhile UT Bank that they're welcome to GCB Bank, and we'll make sure we exceed their expectations and end their business. So they should keep their monies with us.
Workers of the collapsed banks were not spared the drama, as such acquisitions led to management and staff layoffs.
Some branches, a few of the branches will be closed or will merge with GCB branches. Now, if you merge with a GCB branch, of course, you need more staff in that GCB branch. You know, because the volume of work goes up. They may take some staff, they may lay some off. That is the truth of the matter. That is why we said that in the selection of the assuming bank, you also have to consider how many staff are they possible they can take.
The GCB also confirmed the layoffs when its MD revealed it was going to embark on an audit of employees.
The issue about jobs, which will inevitably go, we shall conduct a skills assessment. As part of the integration process, we need to know that we can bring everyone on board or we can't bring everyone on board. This is an expanded institution, and as we go through the integration, we shall know what jobs to close down and what jobs to retain. I intimated when I spoke about the revocation of the licenses of the two institutions that from that moment on, the employment with their previous employers ceased. All claims, therefore, will have to go to the receiver. We cannot speak to that. What we can speak to is the fact that they are working with us for the moment. They are new employees of our institution, and therefore we shall look to see if we can keep them or if we can't keep them.
Despite all the changes, analysts maintain that more of such takeovers will be good for the industry, as many predict interesting times ahead. Financial analyst Charles Mensah explains why.
I think it's a positive thing, if you ask me, because look, we are a small country with 27 major banks. I don't think it's too much. We needed to have we needed to have not more than 10 major banks, if you ask me. Now, having 27 major banks was a bit of too high. Maybe it is time that we will review the policy and begin to have specialized banks, where Bank A will be specialized in this, Bank B will specialize in that, and maybe then to complement that, we have a universality of banks. So we can have two categories of bank. We have the universality of banks, which means the bank can do everything, and we have the specialized bank. So we can even reduce the number of the capital requirement for the specialized bank, and then progress from there. So in terms of the industry itself, it's the right time for people to be looking at merging, to be looking at acquisition, because there's no point for you to rush, to struggle.
But this whole experience may not be new to the sector. In a brief walk down memory lane, one can recount the merger between Intercontinental Bank of Ghana and Access Bank, as well as the acquisition of Trust Bank by Transnational Ecobank. But for this new development, which some industry players describe as a mess, the risk is yet to be contained.
The risk is yet to be contained, but the conversations fall out of that, we know will go on for a very, very long time to come, because there are reports today that the boss at UT Bank has been fired, along with the executive director. We've got lots of conversations on this. That's it for AM Business, but coming up right after this, Roland Walker sits down with Mr. George Lowe, who's a former member of parliament for North Dai. He's into a lot of other things today. He's our guest on AM Talk with Roland Walker. That's in the bits, but we will have lots of conversations in between the AM Talk as well. So sit back, just relax and enjoy our programming.